perhaps this day was never meant to succeed, that even its planners believed the odds favored disaster, and that history often turns not.
Allied leaders wrestled with impossible choices, knowing that delay could doom Europe while action might destroy an entire generation of soldiers.
Brutal weather nearly cancelled the invasion, convincing many German commanders that no landing could happen under such conditions.
The Atlantic Wall appeared strong, yet its strength depended on assumptions that the enemy would not dare strike under chaos and storm.
Young men preparing to jump into darkness, knowing many would land alone, lost, or directly into enemy fire.
Confusion was inevitable, yet this chaos would soon become an unexpected advantage.
The scattered landings created panic, making the defenders believe they faced a much larger force than reality.
Schnell! In Deckung!
This was the largest seaborne invasion in history, yet even its sheer size could not guarantee success.
Naval fire would be the first hammer blow, meant to break defenses that had stood unchallenged for years.
Commanders hoped bombardment would crush resistance, yet no one could see through the smoke to know if it truly worked.
Fear tightening in every chest as the shoreline grew closer with every second.
How carefully planned timetables dissolved the moment real combat began.
The shock of the first steps onto hostile ground, where survival depended on speed and sheer luck.
Many never reached dry sand, lost before the battle truly began.
Every yard forward was paid for with blood and resolve.
The defenders believed they could hold, trusting in fortifications built to resist any assault.
Clearing paths through the defenses became a desperate race against time, under mounting casualties.
Broken units began forming new plans on the move, improvising survival into momentum.
Leadership under fire turned disorder into forward movement.
Allied air power disrupted every German attempt to respond quickly. Once ashore, the battle transformed into a brutal fight for every field and village.
The landscape itself became an enemy, hiding danger at every turn.
Courage was not sole found in the charge, but predominantly in the quiet, desperate struggle to save lives under rainless fire.
German response fractured under pressure, unable to grasp the full scope of the invasion. Yet, it was the armor that finally tipped the local battles in favor of the attackers, signaling renewed strength.
The cost was enormous, yet the foothold held.
Holding ground through the night was now the critical test. As the last vestiges of daylight surrendered to the encroaching darkness, both sides braced for a torrent of violence.
The first night of invasion would decide whether dawn would bring retreat or reinforcement.
Sea power continued to shield fragile beachheads from collapse.
Momentum was slowly shifting, though nothing was yet secure.
The invasion had survived its most dangerous hours. Success now depended on sustaining the fragile bridgehead.
Resistance remained fierce despite early setbacks. They held their ground against the advancing forces.
As scattered units linked up, these isolated actions began forming a unified front against the enemy. Deception plans continued to cloud German judgment even after Allied landings began, creating uncertainty and preventing a decisive response.
With the skies dominated by Allied aircraft, every German movement and supply run became a perilous gangle.
Theirs was a sacrifice measured not in medals,
but in the relentless struggle for every life.
Get him secure on the boat now!
Each village gained, each crossroads secured, widened the path into the heart of Europe.
The war reshaped lives far beyond the battlefield, its brutal hand reaching into the nation.
It was in the crucible of combat that these men found something unbreakable. Bonds forged not of steel, but of shared sacrifice.
The defenders now fought a delaying battle rather than total denial.
The lessons learned from previous campaigns finally bore fruit. The combined arms of armor and infantry were finally working as planned.
Logistical failures weakened German resistance daily.
Sustaining the invasion required relentless effort behind the lines.
That Shari advance fade, unseen threat. Alvar's Yord, unseen threat.
That probing forward. Progress was measured in yards, not miles.
Morale eroded as the invasion proved unstoppable.
These fleeting moments, often overlooked amidst the relentless advance, signaled more than territory gained. They marked...
Night fell again over Normandy.
Each arrival, all Stevelings strengthened an irreversible foothold. The chance to throw the Allies back into the sea was slipping away.
These were the stolen moments. The quiet reflections amidst the chaos of a world at war.
That's expanded Allied positions. What was meant to fail now deeper and stronger.
D-Day did not end the war, but it shattered the belief that tyranny was unbreakable, changing the course of history forever. With each hour survived, the invasion transformed from gamble into grim determination, forcing the enemy to fight a battle they never planned to lose.
With the convoy halted, German speed and coordination collapsed. What began as a planned counterattack dissolved into scattered resistance.
Victory depended not only on fighting, but on rebuilding under fire. How liberation arrived house by house, measured in shattered walls and lives lost. The myth of invincibility cracked as reality replaced propaganda.
Logistics became the silent weapon sustaining the advance.
Get him loaded! We have to move now!
The true cost of the landings would only be measured in the weeks that followed. The artillery fired desperately, but firepower alone could not reverse the momentum now building.
Lessons paid for in blood were now shaping a more effective advance.
As pressure mounted from every direction, German control began to slip away rapidly.
For these souls, scarred by years of occupation, liberation was a word whispered.
The cover of darkness, once a soldier's only solace, now offered no sanctuary.
Feuer! Achtung!
Overwhelming Allied firepower, forcing continuous German withdrawal inland.
They pushed past exhaustion, understanding that endurance itself was the defining weapon of this campaign.
For thousands who once defended the coast, certainty is now replaced by captivity. As the infantry pushed forward past the beaches, air support proved crucial, extending our reach far inland and keeping the advance supplied.
Organized resistance gave way to survival.
Privilege was Farc election. The invasion's success reshaped every plan that followed.
The war now returned home to those who once believed it distant.
The Germans, in a final act of desperation,
lives lost to secure a future unseen.
The liberation carried with it both immense relief and the heavy burden of deep scars, years of conflict, and years of occupation. Time was now their only objective.
what began as a beachhead became a gateway.
Under the relentless pressure, the stability of command dissolved once again.
They fought not just for orders and objectives, but for echoes of home, the hopes of return, and the simple truths written on these fragile pages. The war is lost, not the battlefield, but when the resources of a nation fail, the bread runs out, and the guns fall silent.
The invasion phase was ending, replaced by liberation.
Defeat now unfolded step by step.
The world held its breath for this message.
Yes, confirmed. We have secured the beachhead.
The impossible had become routine. Belief, once lost, cannot be restored by orders alone.
The road to victory now lay open.
The invasion reshaped the entire war in the West.
By the winter of 1944, the strategic defeat had become an unavoidable reality for the Third Reich.
D-Day was only the beginning.
As the echoes of battle faded, fragile hope emerged, carried in the cheers of a liberated people. Escape now meant survival, not victory.
The breakout beyond Normandy was imminent. This successful landing would ultimately reshape the future of an entire continent.
The cost of change is always written in names.
Hope followed close behind the armies.
The Atlantic Wall was broken forever. What was prophesied to fail, what was deemed an impossible gamble against all odds, became the turn.
The path ahead, longer and harder than we could have ever imagined.
War reshapes both victors and defeated alike, the leaving lasting scars on society and generations.
Momentum, once gained, must never be lost.
The coast, once their bastion, had become their tomb. The balance of power had shifted permanently.
Normandy, 1944.
The invasion reshaped land and destiny alike.
The collapse often begins quietly, a serial, uncoordinated witheriors, escalling into a full-scale rout.
The road to victory now lay open.
History turned here, at terrible cost.
D-Day was meant to fail, yet by enduring the impossible, it changed the world, and proved that tyranny could be broken.